Mm. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to a stream. And welcome to yet another chapter working on our Tamiya Sherman tank, the M4A3E8. Building it as a Fury. There's a 1/35th scale. I'll load that intro and we'll get started. Okay guys, well, we are moving along. We're getting closer, much closer to the weathering process. So we're working on stowage. Now, we began the stowage last time, and I did manage to get all of our bags and crates glued in. They're all glued in now, yay! Okay, those are glued on. I'll change the camera, you can get a little bit of a better picture on how I've set them all up on here, okay? Let's go overhead here. Alright, so there we go. There's our little platform, okay? So we need to still continue our little build on this, okay? Now, one other thing that is distinct about this is there's a blanket that they lay down over top here. And it's a red blanket, and I'm going to see if I can find that picture and show you guys what I mean. You guys have seen the movie, you probably know already what blanket I'm referring to. And there's a fairly decent picture of it there. Let me see if I can get that. Yeah, let me try and bring this up for you here, so you can see what the heck I'm talking about. Get rid of this. That should put it up there. And then let's go here. Bing. Okay. So there you go. Here's our red blanket that drapes over that that guy in the back there. The roll, the big backpack. No, not backpack. The big sack that's in the back there. Okay. So we have that. So, got to put that on, and we'll deal with that. Let me get back to this and get that picture out of the way. Bang, let me get my other picture back up. There we go. Okay. Alright, so yeah, so I'm going to try and make a blanket. This is something I've never done before, and so it's going to be something new for me. I understand the basic concept. Now you can either try and make it with some kind of a putty, such as like Tamiya epoxy. You could put this together, roll it up, mix it all up, flatten it all out, and you could go that route. The other route that I've seen is taking a piece of paper towel and some PVA glue or wood glue, paper glue, whatever you call it, dilute it in a little container with some water and dip the paper towel in it, and then put the paper towel down and mold it. I'm going to try that because I've never done that and I want to give it a shot, okay? So I'm going to grab a piece of paper towel, get that out of the way, a few things out of my way here so that I've got some room to work with this. And let's just put our tank off to the side here for a bit. And grab a piece of paper towel. Now, I have some Kim Towel brand rags. I think I'm going to use this because there's no pattern on it. A lot of paper towels or toilet paper, you know, they've got like flower patterns and stuff like that, or they're quilted or whatever, right? These have no pattern on them, and I think that's what's going to make this a better candidate for our little project. And I don't need much of it. I only need a small section. So let's figure out a bit of a little area here. It doesn't need to be that big, maybe about this long, and maybe about this wide. I am layering it. I'm going to do 2 layers, right? So it's going to have that. That's basically our size, and I'm going to be laying that down over top there. This might actually be too big. Let me change camera back here. I think this is going to be too big, too much of a towel rag. It's only supposed to kind of drape down over this, and that is too long, so I want to cut it off about there. Maybe about here. I realize I'm going to be it's going to kind of sag and drape down. I want to double check on our picture. Was that just laid down over top of all the straps and everything, or did they actually have it tied down? Because, you know, later on there's some scenes where that's not there. There's that scene where the tank's like going off into the distance, and you know, they're just driving off, they're heading out, and that rag is very distinct. That towel, whatever carpet that they have just draped over there is very distinct. It's like, boom, there's this red blanket laying on the back. And but then later on in other scenes, it's not there. So maybe they just laid it on over top and it fell off later. I don't know. I really don't know. I wasn't there, so I'm not sure. Let me go back to my reference photo here and just take a quick look. Is it draped down over top, or... Yeah, it doesn't look like it's actually tied down. It's like they just draped it down over top of all the straps and ropes and stuff like that. So, man, they got a lot of ropes and straps going over this thing. Anyway, which is another thing I want to do. So we're going to hold off on this because I do need to put the straps down. Now, how am I going to do the straps? Well, the artillery kit comes with some, they call it cloth wire, I think, in the instructions. This stuff here. And this is great for really small straps and stuff. But for the big straps they've got going over top of these, this is too small. So I have a choice. I could do something like this that I'm using for my logs. I'll show you kind of what I'm doing on my logs here. So I've got my logs, and I'm using, this is basically just automotive electrical wire. I think could be 14 gauge. I think it's 14 gauge wire. So you've got all the metal strands inside of this stuff, right? And so I just basically strip it all back, and you wind up with something like this, a little bundle. And then I just take 2 of them and just twist them all together. Okay, you just take 2 and you just twist them like that. Twist them, twist them, twist them, twist them, and then you get a basic, decent rope that kind of represents the twined rope. You can use that for this kind of stuff too, for this kind of cables. It's great, and you get a pretty good representation, same kind of scale, right? Just use 2. If you want to go bigger, you just use 3. It's pretty good. 1 is just, you're going to get a single strand, and that's not realistic, right? So, yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm doing with my ropes. I've got 1 tie so far, and that's it. So that's all, as far as I've got. I'll show you guys how I do that later. Anyway, I've got one already done. This was going to be for my rope. This might be a little too short, so I'm going to cut another length. Okay, I'll cut another length, a little bit longer. Because I need this to go like all the way around, like that. So I want a length, maybe something like that, which is just a little bit longer than this one. Let's go. You know, it doesn't hurt to go too far. So let's cut that. And of course, I got lots of this stuff. So to strip this off, you can either use some wire strippers, or do what I did like that last time. It was such a long length just take my knife and kind of trace along in here. This. The nice thing about this is it's really hard to accidentally cut the wires themselves. So you can go pretty hard on it. Make sure you're cutting through the sheathing. And just to make my life a little easier, I like to do both sides, so I kind of peel it back. Try and be in the center. There we go. Okay. I should be able to get some sort of peeling going on here and peel this off. Most of it anyway. If you don't get it all at once, that's fine. Another thing that helps is to take a couple, take a little bit, and see if you can pull them out. And nope, it's not going to let me. Won't let me do that yet. So I'm going to put another cut through here. Okay, there we go. And so you bend them up. Who cares? It's supposed to be rope. The rope ain't perfectly straight, is it? Okay, so I'm going to take two out of here. And yeah, they got a little bit of a kink to them. That's fine. I'm going to make sure they're kind of the same. And let's start twisting. This can be a little bit of a long process. You can cheat and do what I do and put an end in a drill. But that isn't a... Putting the end in a drill and then holding the other end with pliers or something is kind of a... Well, because you're using a machine, it can be harder to do. There we go. Once you get it started, it's pretty easy to just kind of move my finger along as I'm twisting. This is a bit of a workout for your finger and your thumb to make sure it's tight. You do want to get somewhat tight, a somewhat tight roll on it. Okay. The tighter you twist it, the more it looks like rope. You want to go right to the end, twist it right to the end, like that. Okay. You're probably going to wind up cutting some of it off anyway. So I've got a pretty good length there to get over my crates. Oh, this guy isn't quite glued down. This one's, because this one's paper, it's kind of, you get some flex. All the rest of these are all plastic, so they don't flex. But our paper crates have a little bit of flex to them. Anyway, so I want to put a tie on here. So that can be tricky. With wire, it can be a little bit tricky to try and get like a little loop that looks like a real knot. I want to grab the end with my tweezers so that we can get a little loop in there and actually kind of hook this on. I think I made it a little too tight. So let's get back in here. Open that up again. And let's go a little further on my tweezers. Let's just straighten that out again. Okay. Nice thing about actual wire that's meant for this is you can keep at it. Okay, let's wrap that around there. Now I chose a bigger spot on my tweezers. There we go. A little bit bigger loop there. And now that hooks in. Perfect. Now what I'd like to do is, if I can actually tie it, if it will let me tie it down a little bit, let me cinch it on there. Sorry if my head gets in the way, I need to see here. If it will let me bend that on there, get a bit of a cinch. There we go. I could probably pick up the tank by that. There we go. All right. Now I want to give the illusion of being nice and tight and stretched over there. So I want to kind of put a little bit of a kink in it. There we go. And we'll do the same with this side. That. Now the trick part for this is we kind of have to finagle it a little bit. We know the bend needs to be around this spot there, right, to get into that hook or that loop. So around there, I'm just going to bend this back. You know it's around there, so I'm going to pre-bend it there. And then I'm going to do this to kind of give us a way to loop it in and come back up. This is where tweezers and things come in handy. Kind of pull it down while I'm pulling it up with the tweezers to put minimal stress on the actual part of the tank where I'm feeding it through. Okay. So I want to pull this. I'm pulling down with my silver tweezers while I pull up, so we get it fairly tight. Okay. And then I want to kind of put it in here, kind of pinch it a little bit. Again, sorry for my head in the way, but I need to see what I'm doing here. Alright, so with that twisted in there, that's going to be a good little lock. Now I am going to be gluing it, so it doesn't matter. I do want to put a little bend in there to show a little bit of gravity. That's a nice thing about this stuff is it bends and conforms pretty. When you put a bend in it, it stays there, right? It doesn't come back, it doesn't bend back. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut off my excess there. Let's make sure I'm cutting the right one. Just like that. Alright. So we have our first strap. Now I already have some CA glue. I want to make sure it's glued in place. So I don't want it to accidentally come apart, and I really don't want it moving around very much. As I try and paint and weather this, I want it to stay in place where I've put it. So there we go. Okay. So the next strap, they've got one that goes around the back here like this too. So I'm going to do that here also. I think these will be long enough. I don't want to get this mixed up. So grab another two. I think it'll be long enough. We'll see here. Let's get these twisted together. Again, the more you twist it, the tighter it becomes and the more realistic it looks. But like I said, it can be a workout for your thumb and your fingers. It's you're holding tight and twisting on it. Okay, so let's just do a little test here. This is going to come like that, and then come around, and it's going to be just about perfect. All right. So again, we're going to start with putting a loop in here. I want to get that twisted just a little more realistically here. Okay. About here was perfect. Bend. Okay, just like that. That gives us a little something to hook on. Like that. Squeeze those together. Just want to try and get them crisscross like that. Okay. I'm going to hold this here with my thumb while I bend this over our jerry cans. Kind of put some pressure here on our box. Let's bend this down. And this one, while I send it this way, I've got just enough. Just enough there. So let's create a little loop on this side. Hook in on there. And now with my loop, I don't have enough. I might be able to, there we go. Get in there with a pinch. Sorry about my head. We're there. Perfect. But this has to come down. There we go. Now I like that it's crushing this box just a little bit. It gives it that pressure that, hey, this is tight on there. That's perfect. What's not realistic is how I've got it looped around on this side. It looks a little like, hey, you just have a little hook on there. So let's try and bend this around, make it look a little bit more like it's tied. When we have weathering and everything on there, you're not really going to see it. You're not going to notice. So there we go. Okay, we've got a couple of straps. Looks fairly realistic. It's actually hooking under this box a little bit. That's great, because then it's not, You know, it's like that, and it's holding the jerry cans, holding these boxes. Right? I think on the actual tank they've even got other straps, and they got straps going this way also. I don't think I really need to bother with that kind of stuff. But yeah. So let's get some CA glue on this part. So it's going to stay. So I don't want it to ever come apart. And that's plenty there. Okay, so now that I have my straps on, we can move back to this little project of making a blanket and draping that over that. Okay. Now I could do a third strap over here. I could do straps like this. I don't want to bother with that. I think 2 straps like that is good enough. The roll looks like it's got straps on it already. I don't need to do another one. I could do a strap from here to here. I don't want to bother. It's going to make it messy and not realistic. There's already like, okay, could do a strap around the tank, around our little jerry can here, and I've got buckets and things to hang off the edge as well, so I don't think I need to really worry about that so much. Okay, for now today we're going to do our little blanket. Okay, so let's move this out of the way for now, and I need to get something that I can pour my PVA glue in and really not worry about it after. So I think I'm going to try just a little Glad Tupperware container. Okay. And I'm going to get some water. Got some water here. And let's just clean up my little area here a little bit. Okay. Those. Out of the way. Okay. Alright, so PVA glue. I have no idea how much I need, so let's just start with that. I also don't know how much water to put in there to dilute it to what it needs to be. So let's just try that. And yeah, we're gonna go with that. And let's just I'll use a piece of sprue and we can mix this up. That might be a little too thin. I have no idea. I really don't know. I guess I'll find out, right? Okay, there's our mixture. Like I said, I've never done this before, so this is a little experiment. Soak my paper in there. I'm guessing I'm not supposed to have it dripping, so let's get rid of some of the moisture in the paper towel. Using a paper towel to dry paper towel, how about that? Okay, so there we go. That's our piece. Let's get this out of the way. And so here's a nice perfectly flat blanket that needs to be shaped into our little mold. And my first impressions are it's not wet enough. It doesn't want to stick. Maybe it's not enough glue. Maybe the glue makes it conform a little better. sure. It is still very, very wet. It's soaked. It's totally soaked that. So maybe it is still too wet. I'm not sure. Let's dry it off a little bit here. Again, let's soak up some of this. Maybe I have it too thick. And that's why it doesn't want to lay down. Maybe this is why guys use paper towel instead of like shop towels. Doesn't seem to be staying in position like guys I see online. So maybe I don't have enough glue. Let's try a little more glue. Okay, try that. Let's mix up some more. Make it a bit thicker. Okay, there we go. And let's dip that back in. Okay. And try this again. Try and dry that a bit. And see, maybe with a little more PVA. So I want to have it not quite perfect. I want to put this down in there. I don't know if guys just wait or because I've got it thick. Maybe if I unfold it and just use one ply. Let's see how this does. Yeah, I'm going to cut it, get it down to one ply. Scissors don't want to cut soaking wet towel nearly as much. And I also have it a little too long. Okay. All right. Feels like the glue is starting to set up, sticking to my fingers a little bit. Although it's not really sticking here. I want to give it that little bit illusion of weight. It doesn't want to settle down. I'm not sure how guys do this. I don't know. Maybe they brush it on a little bit to keep the weight down and to get it to conform to that shape. I seem to remember seeing people doing this with their brush. I think that actually looks pretty good the way that is there, right? Looks all right. I think I can paint that and have it represent a blanket. I think so. That should work. Okay. So I got PVA on my fingers now. And I got PVA on my scissors. So I got a bunch of cleanup to do. I need to rinse this out, clean that up, and I need to clean my scissors. So I'll be back in a minute. While I do that, you guys can just listen to my air conditioner go in the background. You guys can now see you don't have to be afraid to experiment and do things like that. Wow, my nose looks really red. Don't be afraid to branch out and do something a little different, right? That looks pretty good. It's reasonable. Let that dry. From what I've seen of guys doing this stuff, they don't even bother pulling it off to paint it. They just leave it like that. I guess the PVA glue gives enough to keep it there where it belongs. Okay, so with that done, I need to check my time to see where I'm at. And we're good. I got about another 20 minutes or so before I gotta go. So let's figure out our logs. Okay, we need some logs. The Fury tank has logs on it, right? So let's move this aside for now and let's concentrate on our logs. I need to do 3 more straps for our logs. Okay, so we have 2 sprues that come in the artillery kit with logs. Separate that. Okay, obviously I've already taken 3 off of the sprue. Here we've got 3 more. I'll change the camera back. Okay, I gotta be careful where I trim these. There. There. And finally that one. Okay, so we've got our 6 logs. I kind of want to leave the nubs marks on there because it kind of adds like, hey, maybe that's a big knot on the wood, right? It maybe adds just a little bit to the realism. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, there's our other 3. So looking at our reference photos, we have one wire going all the way through, and it kind of goes through, it goes wraps around like that. So this is kind of what I did, is I run it through. I know that I need one loop at least this long, so one length there. So I went roughly in the middle, like this, roughly in the middle, and that's my starting point. Go through, run it through here, and holding on to it. This might be a little tricky now that I've got them tied together. I'm going to use one as a reference here. So hold it like this to get it wrapped, kind of like that. Okay. Slide that through, and then bring that down to our next one. Okay, go to the edge so it's easier See, if this is string or something like that, like actual string or cord, it's easier, right? Now, I might run out of length here, so I'm going to turn this around like this. Slide that back. Open that up and start our next loop. Okay, let's feed that through there. Slide this down to make sure our loop is the right size. And see, I've run out of space. So let's back up, let's take that off, and we've got to unbend all of this because I did it way too far down. So we're going to start again. It's a nice thing about pretending it's rope. It doesn't matter if it's perfectly straight. So this time I'm going to start much further up higher there, like that. Okay, I'm going to start like here. So just to make it easy to do that first bend, like that. Okay, let's start this again. Get this bent over and around. Okay, put the two together, get this guy through there, nice and tight on him, feed through, down, and this one we got to do twice because they don't just have it going like that, right? They have it wrap around and then going up. So we got that, put him through, and then it goes up. And there we go. And there's our logs tied together. Now I don't think they're quite tight on the end, so I'm going to try and slide these down a little bit. Might be easier with tweezers to get in there, push those down a little bit. Okay, I need a reference photo to see how far down, how close to the edge these are tied. So let's take a look. Where are my log pictures? That's a good one. So they are tied fairly close. Basically, they're going to be tied here and like here. So put my tank down. They're going to be like this. They will be hanging down just over the fender like this kind of thing. So that there, that's about right. I should bring them back just a little bit further, maybe a centimeter or two. That's what I should do. So let's see if I can convince these to slide down. There we go. One guy wants to slide around like crazy. That's okay, because a little bit of CA glue will prevent them from moving. I think we're in a good spot like that. So I want to put a little CA glue. I'll do it on the back side of them, just a little bit along here, so that they stay put, at least for the most part. bit of movement, but for the most part I want them to stay. A little bit of movement is good to, you know, just for slight adjustments, but for the most part I want it to stay. Okay. So there we go. There's one set of logs almost ready for installation. Okay, so let's do it again with these three. Once again, I'm going to start up like this, up high, get that doing like that, and I'm going to do it again with this one, because once I got them together, it's a little bit harder. There we go. So he's like that. I'm going to wrap it around, and we've got our start. Okay, next. Wrap that around. I'm going to go to the edge, just because it's easier to thread it through on the edge. Bring it back. Is it really? You're proving yourself wrong. Okay. Straight down. We want a little bit tight. Okay. Next. We've got all three edges the same here. Let's do this. Bring it back in. Then up we go. Now you see I need to retwist this edge. It started to come apart. There we go. Now let's slide these back a little bit if we can. If you did it too tight, they're not going to slide on the I was just about to say, they're not going to slide on the wood. It's not really wood though, is it? It's plastic. It just looks like wood. So there we go. We've got a decent representation, roughly the same spot. That's good. That's good for our front. Okay. And then we're going to do this. And we started off like this, right? No, like that. We're going to start back a little further. Start about here. It is tempting to want to start right at the edge because it's easy to get the wire in like that. Because when you go through, you've got to bring it back there. Fortunately, the bendable nature of the wire allows you to do stuff like that. And we have logs. 3 more logs all tied up. Just like that. Okay. Now, our cables should be, or our ropes should be tied together at the top this. And on this one, I've kind of bundled them up in like a knot kind of thing. Just kind of bending them over and twisting them around. Where's my other tweezers here? Just kind of bend them over like this. I made a bit of a knot. Sort of a knot. So that it looks like a little bit of a clump, and okay. So I think I got these roughly the same. Yep, perfect. So put some CA glue on these so that they stay put. Kind of running out of CA glue in my little tray here. It's thickened up and drying a little bit. So I need a little more CA glue. There we go. Now it's going to flow. Good. All right. So let that dry. Okay. Now, these are going to hang off the side. And they're going to go right here. My reference photos show that they go just behind this particular little bracket. They hang right there, and they do hang down kind of off, almost off the edge, like this, like that, kind of flush with the very top of the fender, right? So this needs to be trimmed. This side's fine. This one needs to be trimmed. Or I bring it back like that just a little bit and have it kind of go into our little bracket that we put there. Remember I put that little bracket there a long time ago? So if I do that, then I gotta bend our wire. The wire needs to be bent down over the hull. So and then kind of like that. Okay. Now the fact that these are plastic might work to my advantage, but they're not actually touching because of our wire. That's our rope, our fake rope that's holding it. It's basically going to be held in 4 points. Each spot here and here, and our top here and here, and that's going to be it. So we need enough CA glue on here that's going to hold. And on here. And here. once I get enough glue on it that it's going to hold, I can add more later. Okay, so we're lining it up, kind of be, change my glasses so I can actually see without getting so close. I want it like that, and that. And that ought to do it. Okay, so I need to add a little bit more there. I would prefer the front to be up a little higher, but it's just the way it is. Now for where it's contacting here, set, and we've got our first set of logs on. Okay, now let's work on the other side. The other side are going to be the same. Let's get our guys tied together here like they should be. Okay. Feels like my glue, because when the glue gets a little bit thicker, it seems like it takes longer to dry, and my fingers are sticking to these things. So let's just cure this up nice and quick here. Okay, some accelerant. Make sure they're dry. Okay, so there's our logs. We need them sitting in this kind of position, which means our ropes need to come over top. I want them sitting down this low, which means this needs to be trimmed here. This one comes over like this and needs to be trimmed here. Okay, let's get rid of our excess wires going everywhere. Are these solid now? Yes, they are. They don't move anymore. Perfect. All right. So, we're going to have the same 4 contact points. This one, that guy there. Alright, so it's holding, but we're not quite glued on. And we need to add a little bit on here. Bring this up. And should give this contact. Now let's get underneath here. So being glued in only 2 points is not very solid. So we need glue everywhere. 4 points of actual glue is better. Now, you guys might be wondering, well, how are you going to clean up all that glue? You got all these glue spots. Well, I'm not worried about all the glue spots because of all the dust and mud and everything that's going to be placed on there. We're almost done. We've got logs on here. We've got our logs, guys. We've got our stowage. Okay. We have a couple little buckets that need to hang off the back here. Okay, these little fabric buckets, and I'm going to tie them together with a piece of our string. Okay, so let's move our tank out of the way so I can start tying a little bit of string together. I want these guys tied together. So, bing, oop, maybe not. This string is not very strong as far as holding. I'm tied together. This. So that I can hang them on there. Right? So, let's cut our string. And that don't work. Let's try scissors. There we go. I need to make a knot. Now for me, this is a little tricky. I'm not very good at delicate knot work, and I'm not very good at tying knots in general. There we go. And I'll try and do this again. I'm going to try. There we go. Okay. So I've got them tied together now with a little piece of string. So I'm going to cut this off. My excess. Alright, so to hang these, so I don't need these now, to hang these off the back, grab it by the knot here. I want these guys just hanging here, like this. So I'm just going to put some, oh, my knot came undone, damn it. Okay. Let's try a different strategy. I'm going to dip one end of the string in my CA. And I'm just going to hold it on here. accelerator a little bit. Alright. And we'll see if I can put my buckets through the string. Maybe they'll be willing to sit on the fender for now. Now, CA glue on the other end of the string. Maybe try up here too. Stay on the string, please. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to dip the string into the CA. Put it through here. I said put it through. String is a little too long for what I want, so let's just hold this. I think I got it. Maybe not. I think I do now. I got it now. There we go. These guys are hanging. Okay, now I gotta figure out where the bucket goes. I know I've seen the bucket in the movie. I think it just hangs here, but I'm not 100% sure. And I think it's actually part of the strap that's going around here. And I am going to use this small stuff for that. I'm going to start. Where's the end of my string here? I'm going to start by looping it through here. So I've got lots to work with. And then I'll loop it through the bucket. And now I can tie it. I got plenty to work with to make a loop, and I can make it as tight or as loose as I want. But I think the bucket just sits on the edge here like this. Something like this. Maybe with this down here. Yeah. Something to that effect. Actually, I think I want to do like it's been really tied down. Right? Like maybe run this through here. Second time. Not really much of a needle and thread guy. Yeah, kind of like that. And then I don't want it quite that tight. But we're close. Okay, one more. I think I know the mistake I made the last time. And that was not not cinching it down tight. Not gluing it before trimming off the excess. So let's glue this down. And let's glue my knot. That will help. Now, I do want the bucket to stay in one spot, so I am going to glue my bucket down too. and that way it's only the string. I think the bucket is going to be good right there, just kind of dangling right there. So let's do that. And he can stay in that position forever. These guys can dangle, I don't really care. Although sitting like that perfectly would be nice. I think that's good. So I think that's good just like that. So, although they might interfere with installing the tracks, so let's just have those up like this. Maybe like that. So they're on the fender, but not under the fender. And that's where they can live. It's just like that. All right. So I should be able to trim my cable now. There we go. And with that, I would say we are pretty much due for painting my ropes. Although this ones I don't think I have to paint. Our string here I don't think I need to paint. I can leave that one black and just leave it like that, and I think that's fine. The bucket is sort of in place. Just make sure it's going to stay. I want it to stay put forever in that spot. Okay. Our two little. Oh, he didn't get glued. Okay. So that is where we're at, and that's where I'm going to end it for today, guys. All I need to do now is get rid of this little extra piece of wire. Just need to paint my ropes, and then we're going to do the mud and dust, and we'll be pretty much finished after that. So, one thing I did want to show you guys. I did this off camera. I put the little glass clear pieces in our little hatch, so the hatch can go on now into its permanent home right there. Okay. See if I can glue it from the inside. No. Gotta be glued from the outside. The hatch can be glued down. And done. Okay. That's finished. Okay, so we are nearing the end. We're getting there. We're getting there, guys. Almost finished. We just have. Like I said, I gotta paint my ropes, and then I can start with the mud and the dust and the done. Call it the done. Yeah. She's starting to look like the Fury. I think she looks like the Fury, straight off the boat, I guess, kind of thing. Nice and clean, and no damage, no dirty, no nothing. So, yeah, we're looking good. Next is going to be I'll paint my ropes. I'll do that off camera. I'll do that later today or something like that, or tomorrow, whatever, and we'll get that done. And then we'll move on to the mud. The mud's fun, getting nice and messy. Yeah. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. I got to get going now. And so I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for coming out. And down in the description box, you're going to see links to my Twitch and my Instagram, and you can go check those out if you like, and subscribe to me on Twitch, and you can talk to me live, although nobody has done that to me today, but that's normal for me. But you could, the option's there if you feel like it. And yeah, leave a comment down below, hit that like button, and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you all in the next one.